Efficiency is killing your mind. That is this modern conception of efficiency as the quickest thing possible with the lowest amount of mental exertion. That kind of efficiency is going to rot your brain. Now, why think that? Well, because thinking is really hard work, and thinking well is exceptionally hard work. It takes time and it takes effort. The two things that modern AI companies promise you don't have to do anymore. They say, we will spend the time for you and we will exert the mental effort for you. Just offload your mental capacities to a stupid AI. That is crazy. Throughout history, so many philosophers have pointed to our reason as that which makes humans unique. It's that we are the thinking animal. We're the rational animal. We are the things that think. That's what sets us apart from other animals. So many philosophers throughout history have pointed to that thing. And yet here we are, offloading our reason to a stupid AI bot. That's crazy. Thinking well is hard. It takes time, yes, but it is worth it, not only because you're living out your telos, that thing for which you've been made, but because it changes you, makes you into a better person. Now, that sounds kind of crazy. How does it make you into a better person? Well, if you're going to think well, you need to anticipate objections. You need to think about, what would someone else think of my view? Someone who is an opponent, someone who has a contrary view. What would they say? You have to use empathy in your reasoning if you want to think well and anticipate counter arguments, counter examples, objections from your opponents. Thinking well also forces you to slow down. You have to chew on an idea for a long time. You have to ruminate on it, come back to it and say, was I thinking clearly about this? What would someone else say? What evidence do I have for this view? Do I have any good reasons to justify this opinion or this position? What about evidence? Can I go out there and find evidence that would support or deny, refute my position? That all takes time and forces you to sit with an idea for much longer. You also have to think of the ramifications of your position, your view, your thought, your idea. What implications does this have for my other views? What ramifications would this have for society and my friendships? What do I really believe and why do I really believe it? Now, maybe you don't have enough information on hand in order to support your views sufficiently. Well, you're going to have to go and find those. But what kind of evidence would even serve to support or refute your position? That's going to take reason to think through. Now, going through the process of thinking through your own thoughts is going to make you a better thinker. But so often that modern view of efficiency compels us to offload our thoughts. Just go and ask the stupid AI. Go and ask Google, and now you can't even ask Google because they have a chat bot there to summarize things for you and just give you the answers. Who knows how accurate those answers are? It's a chat bot. It's not directed at truth. It's directed at sounding like a human. You better not take their answers at face value. You still need to do the hard work of fact-checking the stupid chatbots as well, which is wild because they're supposed to be the truth machines. But if you keep offloading your thoughts and your decisions to something else, your mind is going to become mush. Use it or lose it. It's a little crazy I have to make a video like this, but that's where we're at today. Yes, thinking well takes a lot of time and effort, but yes, absolutely, it's worth it. Think of the Lord of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien took something like 12 to 17 years to finish that book. He wasn't super efficient about it. He would write, he would think, he would write some more, he would take a break, he would ruminate on it, he'd go back and make some changes, and then he'd do a giant overhaul, and then he'd come back to it again, and we ended up with The Lord of the Rings. The guy changed the entire world. Imagine if he would have just been super efficient like some modern fantasy writers who I won't name. His books would be trash, and the whole world would be more impoverished because of that. René Descartes did the same thing. He came up with his method of philosophizing, and then he went and traveled the world and tried to think through his method even more. Then he came back after like 10 years and applied his method even more. He went and got experience, and then he tried to rid himself of all experience in his philosophizing. That's a whole different story. But the world would be different without René Descartes' project. You may think that it would be better. I don't think so. I love René Descartes. But nonetheless, the guy was not trying to be as efficient as possible. I see this in philosophers all the time, and I want to pass this on to you as well. Don't seek efficiency first and foremost. Efficiency may not be the devil, But if you seek efficiency as like your top priority to just power things out, to offload your mental capacities, to make life easier and your mental life especially easier, then you're going to ruin your mind. Just think. Take time to think for yourself. Another philosopher I have in mind is Blaise Pascal and his Pensées, which just means thoughts. This was meant to be a book of apology for Christianity. It was a defense, it was a commendation for Christianity, trying to help people believe. It ended up being just a collection of sententiae or sententiae, wise sayings. Some of the wisest sayings you'll ever read, ever. Why? Because he wasn't super efficient. He didn't finish this book even. He died and it was posthumously published. And you may say, yeah, well, if he was a little bit more efficient, then perhaps he would have finished his book and we would have had it in its final form. It would have been better. I don't think so. I think because he spent so much time to ruminate and put his own ideas in here and chew on them and just let them stand and then come back and work on them and change them and continually thinking through what he believes and why he believes it and putting it on paper, the entire world is better because of that. Now, if you've never read the Pensées, you're in luck. We're reading this in my philosophical book club over on Parker's Ponderings. It's my Substack. You should come join us. We're going to read this later in the year. It's great. It's a fantastic book, and we wouldn't have this if he would have been more efficient. I also think about something like Georg Lichtenberg's The Waste Book, which is just a collection of his sententiae, his wise sayings from his notebooks. This guy gave himself time to sit down and think through aphorisms. He is thinking about what he believes and why he believes it, and he's turning it into an aphorism, which is something like a proverb, but it's a little bit more philosophical and it's a little bit less straightforward. It makes the reader think more deeply than a proverb is meant to do. So we wouldn't have this book if Georg Lichtenberg was just this efficient robot of a being who is just locked in all the time and didn't give himself space and time to do the work of hard thinking. This modern view of efficiency is so pragmatic. It's just, who cares what is good and true and beautiful? Let's get things done. Let's finish. Let's ship the product. Let's get it done as quickly as possible in as few steps as possible. Now, unfortunately, American philosophy is the philosophy of pragmatism. Yes, we had Jonathan Edwards way back in the day. He added some really cool stuff. But after that, we're known for pragmatism. Now, the pragmatism in psychology and philosophy is a little bit different. It has to do with like theories of truth, but it's trickled down to the public in this more modern form of efficiency. Now, maybe that's not wholly true. Maybe the ideas didn't trickle down from the academy out into the public. Maybe America has always had this ethos of pragmatism, and that's why the philosophical and psychological theories of pragmatism flourished in this country. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a chicken and egg kind of thing. But I do know that that is America's great, in quotes, philosophy. Pragmatism. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to sit around and debate with you about this or that, what's right, what's wrong, what works. Just tell me what works and let's do that. Now, I think there's a time and place for that, but it's not in your mental life. It's not when you're thinking through your world and life view. What do you think about God? What do you think about good and evil? What's human nature like? Is it broken? Is it fallen? Is it wholly good, all bad, more good than bad? What is the nature of reality like? What's most fundamental ontologically? What's most fundamental spiritually and ethically? What am I made for, if for anything at all? Is there a God, and what does God want? What is God like? Is there a purpose to life? Is there a purpose to my life? All these kind of things take really hard work to think through, and time. These are not things to do efficiently. So that's my little screed here. I want you to use your mind. I want you to put away efficiency, at least when it comes to your mental life. Maybe your boss is on you about being efficient. Okay, sure. But please, please don't offload your minds when it comes to thinking about your own views, your own reason, your own thoughts. Don't do that. Okay, that's great. I can tell you guys that, but how do you actually do it? I think it's super duper simple, actually. Just get yourself a notebook and start writing down your ideas. Journal through your own thoughts. Journal through your worldview. Journal through your political opinions. Write them down and see how far you can go. Why do I believe in this view over that view? What would someone from the other side say about my view? Why do I believe this about God or about humanity or about this political opinion or about that person? Now start justifying it with reasons. I believe this because of that, and I think that's true, and I've seen that in my own life. But is it just me, or do other people see that as well? Now you may need to do some research, but do some of that hard work and write it down in a physical notebook. Why do that? Because then you have a physical record of it. You see how far you've made it in your own thoughts, and you can come back and say, wow, I was super dumb for thinking that, or wow, that was actually pretty profound. I must have been in a really clear headspace to get that far. Wow, I guess I do believe that. Putting pen to paper forces you to catalyze your beliefs. They're not just fuzzy notions any longer. You've had to sharpen them in order to get them to fit outside in the little point of the pen. Writing down your ideas actually helps form your ideas in process. And then you can be more honest with yourself. Do I really believe it? I guess so. I mean, I wrote it down. This is just for me. I'm not trying to impress anyone. So maybe I do believe that. Okay, I don't like that. Maybe I should think more clearly about that. Or maybe I like that. Maybe I'm surprising myself and now I know a little bit more about who I am. So get yourself a notebook and start writing down your ideas. Fight against the modern take on efficiency by being less than efficient and using a pen and a paper notebook in order to do your thinking. That's how we rebel today. It's a crazy place to be in, but fight that modern efficiency and take time and effort to give your mind some support, to think through what you believe and why you believe it. Now, if you need some additional help learning how to think well, I have a bunch of videos here on Park Notes where I help you through different methods of journaling and using notebooks in order to think about your thoughts. I also have a whole blog called Parker's Ponderings. There I will help you think through the biggest ideas in philosophy and theology, and I continue to show you tutorials on how to keep a notebook to help you personally thrive. And then lastly, I'm teaching a philosophy and theology of C.S. Lewis course this July 2026, starting July 11th, so that's coming up real quick. You can continue to enroll after the class has started, but that is through a private practice for professors called Proffer. That's a lot of P's. My name also has a P, that's crazy. But you can sign up for credit because we have accreditation. So you can take my course for undergrad credit in college, or you can sign up as an audit student. It costs a lot less, but both of them are going to cost a lot less than if you went through an official institution. So if you didn't get anything else from this video, please use your mind and don't think that efficiency is king. Efficiency is not king when it comes to thinking. So just let that one go. Take time and take energy to think through your thoughts.